Good morning, everyone. How are you doing this morning? Whew, okay. You know what? I, cool. You know what? They've totally changed my program that I use to go live with. And I love the new design. I mean, it's just awesome. Okay, cool. I love the new line. It's just streamlined and everything. It just took me a minute to realize they made that change overnight. So, welcome to this Monday morning installment of Contractors Chatter. I'm Luciana Turner, your host. I hope you had a restful and restorative weekend. So, let's get started. Today is a work day. You know what? And I wanted to share this with you. Um, I was preparing some things. Good morning, Vaughn. How are you? Um, I was preparing some sponsorship packages for my event and everything. And I was looking up some of my analytics and some stats. And I've been doing Contractors Chatter for 8 years. It initially started as a monthly iteration. It was on the first Wednesday night of the month at like 6:30 at night. Then I took it to bi-weekly. Then it went to weekly. I remember when it got started, I was trying to use two different platforms. Dumb me, not realizing I couldn't use two different platforms on the same computer the way I was trying to use it. So I had half my audience on one platform, half my audience on another platform, and then I had to figure out. So then I went to one platform and put a link there and told them they had to join me somewhere else. It was a mess, but I finally got it rocking and rolling. Um, then I would say a year later, I launched or I periodically did this thing called Contractors Conversation. And that was where I would text a friend of mine and say, you know what, let's go live and do it behind the scenes. And that's what we did. Or we were discussing an RFP we're going to partner with. And I said, you know what, let's make this conversation a live conversation so people can get a peek of what government contracting is really like. So the following year, Contractor Conversation was born. So Contractor's Conversation is 7 years old. And it just amazes me that other than now, I've taken a hiatus during my health crisis, of course. But all total, 7 years. And ups and downs, start stops. These programs have been around for that long. So earlier this year, I converted Contractors Conversation to a podcast. And Chatter is undergoing a transition as we speak. Full announcement on the Chatter transition will come over the next year. So what I decided to do was next year, I am doing an anniversary celebration. LT&A in and of itself will be 10 years old next year. Oh, wow. I've been at this thing a long time. I've been plugging at this thing a long time. I was looking at my paperwork the other day. My first company, Turner Associates, that I started because, quite frankly, my 9 to 5 was 9 to 5 in it. I was having some issues with my job. And that's another conversation for another day. So I'm just going to do a big anniversary bash next year. And it's so be on the lookout for those announcements. Elton Associates is in my government contracting shop for all those who want to know what that is. LT&A Consulting Group is just that. That's my training and consulting business. I am a government contractor. But over the years, it's just been a lot of highs, a lot of lows. It's not a smooth trajectory. People talk about entrepreneurship like you hang up your shingle on Monday, you get your first client Tuesday, and you're making $1 million by Friday. And if that isn't what you're doing, that's your failure. And for some people, that may be true. But for those of you that's not true for, you're not a failure. It takes time to get your formula right. It takes time to figure out your messaging. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. She and I were talking about we're both transforming our businesses for pretty much the same reason. I'm going back to the original blueprint that I never should have left. She's morphing her client, as they say, avatar. And you find that on your business journey that, hey, you love working with some clients more than you love working with others. It's a process. It's a growth process. And there's so much to this entrepreneurial journey that gets glamorized and so much of it that should be talked about that isn't. Because nobody wants to talk about the truth of it all. Everybody wants to talk about the millionaire club, but nobody wants to talk about the negative bank accounts that they had getting to the millionaire club. I'll never forget the first time I had a hard time making payroll. And I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. And I was just trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I was talking to a friend of mine. I finally admitted what was going on. And she was like, "Oh, girl, I had that problem. What are you talking about?" That's just business. There are times where you can't meet payroll. And you just going to have to sit down, get out of that. And when you get out of it, you can figure it out. That's where the phrase "a stressed mind can't create" comes from. That's where I coined that phrase. Because when I stopped stressing about it, I was able to figure it out. And what I did a bottom-up approach to payroll. I got everybody paid. Some people got paid a couple of days later than others. I took a hit and didn't get paid, even though I did the bulk of the work. But I'm the owner of the company, and that's the role that I took on when I decided to be an entrepreneur. And life went on. But those are the conversations. We don't have enough. But everybody wants to be a business owner. Everybody wants to go into business. Everybody wants to, without counting the cost. I was having a conversation with somebody. She's on her 5th VA. because she keeps hiring, foreign VAs. I have nothing against that. But I'm not hiring somebody that, one, there's a language barrier, two, there's a time zone barrier. And I asked her the question. I said, well, in all this time, you could have hired an American to have done the work. Sure, it costs more money, but how much money have you lost in hiring and firing that you've gone through? Opportunity costs aren't talked about in entrepreneurship. Sometimes you can try to save money to the point you're losing money. We don't have those conversations. We don't have them enough, or we don't have them honestly in the entrepreneurial space. We want to highlight the millions, or when we have them, they're glossed over. Well, we don't want to dwell on the negative. We want to stay on the positive. No, we need to dwell on the negative so people can gird themselves. Is that a word? So people can build their armor. I had somebody tell me one time, you focus on the negative too much. No, I give people reality so they know what type of foundation they need to build. People do not respect attorneys. They do not respect auditors. They do not respect accountants. They do not respect all of us compliance officers. They don't respect us until they run into a problem and they're bleeding at the seams and they're going down for the third time because we don't talk about these issues enough. So they go through life thinking they don't need us in their businesses. But if we talked about these issues, they would understand, you know what? I need to have an attorney on retainer. I need to have a compliance officer come in and review my business for compliance in the beginning, not at the end. I need to make sure I understand the rules of my industry. Do I know a notary? I need to, because guess what? You will have to notarize more business forms than you think. If anything I'm saying is resonating with you, type "I hear you" in the comments. If you're here by yourself, share this with somebody who's in business, thinking about going in business, struggling in business, struggling with a business decision. Too many of us are trying to do this alone because some internet guru said, don't let anybody know what you're doing. Who told you that? Now, the ins and outs of your back end is proprietary information. That you don't let people know. You don't necessarily need to let everybody know your step-by-step ABC 1, 2, 3. However, operating in a vacuum and you're the only person in the room, let alone the smartest person in the room, no, that's not how you do things. And it's a setup for frustration. It's a setup for spiraling, continued doubts. And then you end up burnt out and you don't know how you got there. Entrepreneurship was never meant to be done alone. It was meant to be done in communities. That's why there are organizations. Be careful of people telling you not to join organizations, but they're telling you to join them. Listen to the messaging. You don't need a coach, but come over here and I'll tell you how to do business. That's a coach. I was reading somebody's post. I'm not knocking him. Man, you don't have to do all that. I could tell you how to start your business. And he gave a whole lot of free tips on his post. Very basic, very generic stuff. I do it all the time. I do it on this platform. And then he kept seeding his audience. Then when somebody inboxed him for something else, he put a fee on it. And the person got angry. And they called him out for being fake because his message initially was, you don't need a coach, I'll help you. But he's charging. That's a coach. Now, I got her point, but it's disingenuous to think somebody is going to help you build your business and not charge. This addiction to free is what is strangling people's business and business growth. Why do people think that you're entitled to somebody else's free labor and free intellectual property? Is beyond me. And you seriously need to check yourself if you believe that way. This is just a little second quarter reset. So, as we're in the second quarter, July 10th, oh wow. Time is pacing. I have the event going on October 56th, Christians in Business. I am planning a contractors intensive. That registration is going up fairly soon. I'm actually starting recording, and what I'm doing a whole lot of transitioning this year. Contractors Conversation is the podcast is going to be a combination of things now. Some pre-recorded content and some live content. So some of the interviews, we're going to have an audience and take questions at the end. Now, because of the level of guests I'm bringing in for the podcast, some of these guests charge. And in order for me to bring that content to you, they're charging, so I'm going to have to charge you to be in the audience. That's just is what it is. Chatter is going through a major transition that is costly. I'm just put it out there. It's costly. However, I want to integrate a lot more content, substantive content into Chatter. So I need to bring on somebody to do research. I've met 2 other creators, or I'm in talks with 2 other creators. I want to integrate their content into Chatter, and all of that costs, which hence the sponsorships. And then I was talking to an attorney, or speaking with an attorney, and speaking with a coach, and the like. It's just a whole lot transitioning. So you're going to see Chatter transform over the next months. You're going to see Contractors Conversation transform over the next month. For our anniversary celebration next year, I'm inviting you live to be in the audience, to meet all of the new participants. It's going to be exciting. So when the Contractors Intensive registration goes up, I invite you to view the website. I invite you to really take a look at it, because the registration is going to be for the Contractors Intensive and the anniversary celebration of Chatter and Contractors Conversation. I'm just going to combine it all on one website. We're going to do it all that one week. It's going to be phenomenal. You can participate the whole week, or you can pick and choose what events you want to participate in. So I'm excited about the new content. I'm excited about the guests that have agreed to record for Chatter and Contractors Conversation. So, yes, I'm excited for the transitioning that's happening and that's coming. So, with that, I'm going to log off for the morning. If you're just logging in, catch the replay, hashtag replay. Share this with your community. And join me tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for another installment of Contractor Chatter. I'm your host, Luciana Turner. Remember to be good to yourself because a stressed mind can't create. And I will see you on tomorrow.